Thank you everyone for joining us today. My name is Jane Georgilis and I'm with the Texas State University Small Business Development Center, SBDC. If you have not aware of the SBDC, we are part of the Texas Southwest SBDC network. We provide technical support to startups and established business through the form of business advising. Our services are offered at no cost due to the tax dollar that has been paid. If you are within the Texas Southwest region or anywhere else in America and would like to utilize the service of an SBDC, you can locate your local SBDC using the QR code on the screen or access the website at americassbdc.org. And I would like to provide you this QR code that will lead you to our full schedule of workshop. You can scan the QR code to access the website, or you visit sbdc.mccoy.txst.edu to check out our upcoming workshops. Friendly reminder, this is a webinar, listen only webinar. You will be muted and your video will be turned off. So please utilize the chat box and the Q&A box to send in your question to our panelists today. And after this class, I will send out a follow-up email with a link to the recording as well as any other handouts or any resource that's been shared during the class. And with that being said, I will pass it over to our panelists and we can get this started.
We go. Awesome. Thank you so much, Jane, for that introduction. We really appreciate it. Yes, and hopefully it's going to be a party here today. While I'm introducing everybody, if you would, please put into the chat where you are joining us from. Because today we were supposed to have 5 panelists today, but because people are sick, unfortunately, we only have 3 of us. So what we're going to have to do, we'd like to see where everybody's coming in from.
Georgia.
Good.
San Antonio, Austin.
And then
Silver Springs.
So we're
Memphis.
Right. Wow, this is great. Well, anyway, my name is Jana Minifie.
Awesome.
And I need to change the screen. Sorry.
McAllen. South Texas, New Orleans, Peru.
There we go. All right, so now we got it. Oh my gosh, that's great. So I'm Jana Minifie. I'm with Minifie LLC. I do certified business valuations. Whenever you need to have a business valuation for a third party, like for the IRS, litigation, things of that sort. So like if you're trying to put your business into a state, you need it then. If you have a partner that's joining your business or leaving your business, if there's a divorce, anything of that sort, you need a certified business valuation, and I do those. I also do business valuations and help you increase the value of your business if you're planning on selling it. And then, so we have 2 wonderful guests that are not sick here today, but Andy and Stephanie, if you are listening, I hope you get to be feeling better soon. And we will have them join us on another panel in the future. So, but today we've got with us the lovely Michelle Sledz with us. I don't know where that came from. Michelle is awesome. I love having her on our panels because she brings such a depth of experience from working in the real world. And she has a lot of marketing experience. And if you ever need a marketing guru, talk with her. So anything that you need, like in terms of revenue generation, things of that sort, she is your person. Bill Thompson, I think we've met before.
We've met.
So Bill is with the SBDC, and so he is not just an advisor with the SBDC. He is also an entrepreneur himself. He's had several different businesses in the past, and he brings a lot of experience to the table. So when he's working with clients, he is bringing all this other experience with him, so he can really help you with your business. So he's a great advisor, and I'm sure he works with people across the nation, even though he's probably not supposed to. But oh, this is being recorded, even though he can. I'm always recommending people to him all the time, but he is wonderful. So today I'm going to be asking some questions, and so because Sorry. Because we only have 3 panelists here today, I'm going to try to get in some of your answers as well. So as I'm asking these questions, if you have some insight that you would like to share with everybody, please put it into the chat for us. Because we would like to get your input as well on some of our discussion today, since we have just the 3 of us here today. So we would love to hear your ideas as well. So today's topic is leadership. Building and leading high performance teams is our topic for today. So here's the questions, guys. Are you ready? Everybody ready? Okay, first one. What is the single most critical element you found in building a high performance team? What is the single most critical element?
I think one of the most critical elements, maybe, I don't know if it's the most, is to build a culture and have everybody know that culture and believe in that culture and act out of that culture. And I was recently in a seminar with Holt Caterpillar down in San Antonio, and he was talking about, what is culture? What is culture of a business? And I got really, his answer was, well, it's how we do things around here. If we treat people with respect, we treat people with dignity, that's our culture. If we are relationship building, that's our culture. If we're transactional, that's our culture. And so that's one of the things that I think is really important is to build a culture and then a conducive culture and then communicate culture and have everybody buy in.
Totally agree with Bill. Culture is everything in a team setting. And to add to that, I also feel that the purpose, I think that having a strong sense of purpose within a team really foster that, culture, but also gives them a sense of where they exist in the real bigger world. And it just drives the whole teamwork and, greater sense of that cohesiveness.
I think it's really hard to come up with just one element, because when I'm thinking about, culture is so important, consistency is so important, having the right people in the right seats is so important, making sure that everybody understands the strategic plan, the mission, and that we're consistent in that message that we have with everybody on our team. I think there's so many different factors, but I keep going back to, in my head, I come back to that you want to be kind to people.
Yes.
Because I think that's so important. Like you did bring that up, treating people with respect and being courtesy is so important. And so it's basically being kind to people, I think, is important.
What's your ear on down so you can see that?
Okay. Yep, culture, open communication. Thank you.
Loyalty. Yep.
Very important. You have to trust each other. Yes. And I agree with that as well. These are really important that is having that cohesiveness. So, Bill, what are the common mistakes you see small businesses make when trying to build high performance teams? And how do you help them overcome these challenges?
I think one of the biggest challenges, and especially the small businesses getting started, is working in the business and not backing up and working on the business. When an entrepreneur starts a business, they're wearing all the hats. They're doing everything. And when they start trying to let go of some of those things and back out of the operations and building the team so they can successfully grow. So I think it's to start to work on the business and start bringing in people they can trust who are doing the work in the business. There's an old adage that the owner of the business started off going and checking the mail every day. He builds a huge building. He's still going out and checking the mail every day. And, so instead of working in the business, but working in the business to work on the business.
Now, Michelle, you've worked with a lot of different businesses through your marketing and helping different businesses. So what have you seen as some of the problems that people have in terms of their business, in terms of leadership?
I feel that sometimes there's the accountability, and that goes not just the employees on the floor level, but on the management as well. over time, just like Bill was saying, you know, it's a lot of things to juggle, right? But it's up to the leadership really to foster a sense of culture, but you know, have structure and clarity on what everybody's supposed to be doing, and just making sure that everybody have that accountability.
To that point, E-Myth Revisited, which is a great book on entrepreneurship. He talks about before you hire somebody to have your SOP for that position written, so that when you're hiring somebody to do that job, you're hiring them off that SOP, as opposed to trying to create the SOP after you hire the person, to make sure the person understands the SOP and can follow through and has the skills necessary, and also the attitude.
It's so crucial at the very start is hiring the right people for the role. And it doesn't necessarily mean just a skill set. Sometimes you can hire the smartest people, put them together, and you know, sometimes they don't work well together.
Right.
You know, so it's really important to keep in mind that culture, what type of culture you have in your organization, but also is this the skill sets and the strengths and weaknesses of the person you're hiring is going to blend well, it's going to enhance the group, the team.
Right.
So thinking about that, I'm going off my questions now, sorry. A lot of companies I talk with, a lot of businesses I talk with, they'll use personality sorters to help find teams and how they work together. Is that something that you've seen with the companies you've been working with?
Yes, there's the DISC assessment. It's really helpful. It's helpful when, you know, especially in communication styles. Communication is everything in every organization. You know, lack of it really can hinder, you know, the success of a group, and you know, promote like confusion and just the morale aspect of it. So DISC assessment pretty much goes through, you know, every single personality types, but also it doesn't conclude that, oh, you're this or that. It doesn't put everybody in a box. It just makes you more aware that there are many variations to being humans. And, you know, it allows you to be mindful. And also when you're for a supervisor to be, you know, doing performance management or doing some coaching, they know how to best communicate with the person that they're talking to.
So anything that we mentioned here today, I went and got my trusted pen, is I'm writing these down. And so at the end of this panel discussion, I will be sending out an email to Jane, who will send out an email to everybody, you know, with the different things that have been mentioned during our session here today. So you'll get all these information and like, you know, like how to get it, the book, you know, where it is, and DISC assessment, where can you go and actually do it online. And I'll provide that to everything. And how accessible, it really is accessible. And there is a way of doing it. There's some free ones online, and I'll share those with everybody when we're done.
One thing we use a disc here at SBDC, and what we do is everybody take the disc and then we share our disc personality with each other. And before in staffings, we will have retreats where we practice how we want to talk to each individual. For example, a D person, which is domineering, they just want, you know, forget the fluff. Just what do we want me to do? When you want me to do it by? Here's and there. Whereas somebody who is more like me as an I wants to talk about how you feel and what's going on with how you feel. And so when I'm working with a D, I kind of have to look at what they're looking at and what they need. And then if I'm working with an S, which is steady, there's 4 of them, obviously. And so it's really a useful tool that we use here with the disc.
Yes, and also not just for your employees, but for your clients, how you interact
Absolutely.
with clients. It's very, very useful.
Yeah.
Oh, and high S, yeah. Awesome.
I'm between an S and an I.
Oh, here, somebody says they can give out a complimentary disc. Just reach out to us, and they have ask@jarbeck.com. It's in the chat. I will make sure that I shared that email as well. So that we have that, so everybody will have that. So right now, how many people do we have on here? We right now have
62,
we have
wow.
62 people that are in our audience here today. So so excited that everybody's here. So let's keep this party going.
So Bobby says, I'm told I talk gruff. What are some ways to speak softer?
Okay, would you like to answer that question?
Well, I'm telling myself and I use it if I'm too far over my skis, meaning that I am not taking care of myself in other areas. If I get sharp with people, or I jump to conclusions, I need to take time to back off and take care of myself, make sure I'm getting plenty of rest. There's this whole thing called HALT, don't get too angry, hungry, angry, lonely, or tired. And so if I can be sharp, and it's usually is because I'm approaching burnout, and I try to give myself time to get away from work enough that I'm not uh, uh, burn out.
Yeah, because I'm one of those people. I like to get right to the point and get everything done. So what have I done to slow down is I have to stop and go, how are you today? Instead of just always, here's the tasks that need to be done. Let's get these done. I have to step back and go, these are people. I need to talk to them like they're people and ask them how they're doing.
How are their children?
Yeah. How are their kids? Well, how are their dogs? Right? Right? You can always talk about their pets. It's always a good thing. But finding out. Let's see. Oh yeah, managing my teenagers a couple of days. So it was a win-win-win. That's great. Yeah. Yeah, you might use your disc on your children too. It might help you. Yes. All right. So let me go back to some of our questions here. So
Thank you, Nancy.
it's great. The Kaizen way. Okay. Yeah.
That's a good book.
Let me write that down. So there's a 4-principle approach: people, process, product, and profit. How do you help business owners create systems that support high-performing teams? So how do you create systems that support high-performing teams?
What we do here is we do an assessment of each business that we're working with, and we look at the different areas of their business and what's going on in that area of the business. And then we will approach it as far as, what is the pain point? And we'll go with the pain point and start with that pain point and look at the systems that need to be for that pain point. Whether a lot of times it's financial analysis. A lot of people that I see when they come into small business, their financials are a mess. And so they don't know where their cash flow is. They don't know where their profits are. And so we start working with them to clear that up and create a system. QuickBooks is a lot of people use QuickBooks, but a lot of people does not know how to set those chart of accounts. And so, and that's my background is finance, so that's where I'm most comfortable. But if it's human resources, then we'll look at that and see what do you need to do with human resources to, the gentleman yesterday that he needs to hire 6 people. And so his pain point is hiring 6 people. So we're working on him how to locate people to hire, how to get those on board, and how to create those systems. So we really get the low-hanging fruit or the most pain points that they need help with.
Michelle, you've worked with a lot of people in terms of HR in the past. So when you're doing the hiring and things of that sort, you need to make sure you're clear about what that job requirements are and things of that sort. Can you address all that?
Yeah, so having a clear sense of your culture, your mission, your values as a company, and then when you go and hire more people to join the team, you got to make sure that they fit that persona that you need to, add to the team. So there's the DISC assessment that companies use, but it's really getting to know the individual, and also having more collaborative environment helps, and having discussion like leadership that talks to their team, trying to address like things that they can improve on, their strengths, really understanding your team members will really make it more successful for you to hire on the right people. And having, aside from the job description, well, what kind of personality match, or people that have specific values that you're looking for, so that they are a fit for the group. There's many different ways, but also if you foster a collaborative environment, if you have what they call the psychological safety within your team, where everybody's feel free to take some risk of being an individual and contributing, it makes for a more stronger team, because they don't feel hindered. You have an open discussion about challenges, and then you also celebrate the wins. You really get a grasp of a really stronger team in that way.
Some of the things that I've seen when I've been working with businesses is they don't have clear job descriptions. That they hire on convenience, right? Oh, my mother-in-law needs a job. My brother-in-law needs a job. My kid needs a job. And you hire based on convenience rather than on what the job requirements are. And you put them in that position and you don't give them, these are the steps that have to be done in order to get the job done correctly. And so they come in, they go, oh, you're marketing. Marketing's yours. Okay, I'm done with marketing. So I'm going to go over here and do my job. And you don't give them any instruction. You've got to do that. So that's what I think is really important, is that you make sure that you have a clear set of directions about how everything is done. In fact, this was something that I was doing yesterday with my business. I was working with my IT guy that I have, Drake Ballard, who is actually going to be joining us in April in person. He's going to,
Oh, cool.
Yeah, he's going to come down from Colorado to be here in person with us in April for that session. But we were setting up, looking at what different types of software is it that we need to have in order to make sure that everybody on my team that I'm working with, that everybody has access to the right information, that everybody knows what needs to be done for particular clients that we have, and things of that sort. So we've been setting up different systems to put in place. So I'm going to be learning a lot of new applications. But he's been doing a lot of research about what systems we need to have in place in order for, as our business is growing, that we can work more efficient and not harder. So that's some of the things.
I do want to add something to that, Jana. Thanks for mentioning that. So there are many tools these days, as far as platforms that companies can utilize, performance management. Sometimes it's a sensitive topic because some, especially smaller businesses, they are very careful to roll out any performance, but it does not have to be a bad thing. It could be goal setting. It doesn't have to be about people getting written up, right, or talking about flaws, but it's a great way to have something in place, like you said, to really have a way for you to track how the progress of the team's going, but also on top of that, the learning management system, so they can have access to resources that can help them do their jobs better.
I like to think about it as that we're setting them up for success.
Yes.
Because the systems that we're putting in, because we want everybody to be successful, right? And so if we want them to be successful, we need to give them the right tools to help them to be successful. So I think that's the way you need to keep thinking about it. What can I do to help my team be more successful? Because we want them to be successful. And as Kevin is set up here, focusing on the KSAs, the knowledge, skills, and abilities, to make sure that you can get people off to the right start. Because we want people to be successful. Because if our teammates are successful, our business is more successful, right? And they're going to represent our business more so in that particular way. So have you been reading this? Did you want to add anything from any of the chats? So I'm not stopping to read them.
I'm just trying to read them. And it's some of you guys are writing a lot.
And we appreciate
that.
Yes.
It's hard to read it as it goes down.
And I think that what we'll do too, we'll ask Jane if we can save the chat at the very end and maybe share that with everybody as well. That might be a good thing to be doing. So hopefully we can do that near the end. All right, so here's one for everybody.
Yes, you can do that.
Oh, thank you, Jane. You're listening. Jane is awesome. Let me tell you, I've known Jane for quite a few years now, and I can tell you she is absolutely amazing person. I just love working with her. So how should leaders approach performance gaps within their teams, particularly when one team member isn't meeting expectations?
It's a great question.
Thank you.
First of all, is set real clear expectation of what the job requires and what has to be done to the to be successful in the job. I'm pulling a blank.
I feel that, to your point, Bill, it's having clarity, it's having structure and clarity. So by the time that you notice that they're not performing up to par, it's not a surprise, because you've had prior conversations. By the time that should you resort to a performance review, a performance improvement plan, it's not a surprise to you as the supervisor or to the employee, right? But that starts from the very beginning. When you set clear goals, everybody's clear on what they're supposed to be doing and making sure that those goals are realistic and attainable, and making sure that they know exactly, what the purpose of their role is, what the expectations are, having that clarity. But the structure doesn't necessarily mean rules, because you don't want to micromanage either. Structure is just having a clear direction of what everybody's supposed to be doing without being micromanaged. It's a consensus that it's innate within the group, and then having that clear accountability as well. Management really is a big critical role into this topic, because it really is up to the management, how you could have prevented that. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, you shouldn't be surprised. And you also, as a manager, needs to understand that not everybody's the same as far as abilities, right?
Right.
There are some that they're good at some things, and then there are some that are not so good at some things. But it doesn't mean they're bad. It just means that you gotta foster and cultivate more of their strengths, but also having the right components, the right people in the team kind of helps compensate for each other.
Yeah.
So-
One thing we use here is the difference between competencies and motivation. When we first get somebody in who's new, they may not be as competent as an advisor, but they're hopefully highly motivated. And as we go through the training, they become more competent. And our job is to keep the motivation there as they become more competent, and it works it around, because when you're first guiding them, you're giving a lot of direction and not a whole support and direction. As they get more and more competent, you can back off of that direction and training, and then just give them support and give them. And as they go, it's a circular. I don't have a video on it. I mean, a slide on it. But as they get more and more competent, you want to give them less guidance and more support, and then more autonomy as they get more and more. So it's a balancing act between the person's competency, and of course, hopefully they're on the right bus and in the right seat on the right bus. There's a good friend of ours, Danny, who used to be a mortgage officer. He used to own his own mortgage company. Gives an example. He had this lady that showed up every day and did her job. She was very competent, but she was sour. She was curt. She was sour. Her communication skills were bad. Her manager wanted to fire her. And Danny got to know this lady, and what he did was he looked at her, he realized she's in the wrong seat. He moved her into a different position. She still did just as well, but she was also a lot sweeter to people because she's where she needed to be. And so it's knowing that what your employees need, and make sure they're on the right bus as well. I mean, the right seats.
And I think you guys have brought up some really good points that we had brought up in the first question that we had, right? What was the key factors? And one of the things that you're bringing up here is communication, right? That you have communication going both ways. So if someone is not performing as well, that we talk with them, we find out what is going on, and we find out maybe there's something wrong with the systems that we have in place, because we want to look to see, is it something that we have done that we can change to make it better for them? Or is there something that they need to change? But I think you need to look at it from both perspectives. And I think that's a great example that you had about Danny at the mortgage company. And, that he looked at those things, look at all of it. But yeah, and then somebody's put something in the chat. Kevin did. Oh, thank you, Kevin, again, about a book that is available on Amazon. And we'll make sure that we get that to you at the end as well. Okay, leadership challenges. Sometimes the biggest obstacle to team performance is at the top. Okay, so that's, yeah. How do you help business owners recognize and address when their own leadership style might be holding the team back?
There's a great story of a company that we were dealing with, and the father left the son the business, and the son ran it in the dirt. And to the son's credit, he hired the gentleman out of the 1 minute manager, Ken Blanchard, I think his name, and he went in. He interviewed everybody in this business, and he came together with this owner. And the guy goes, "Hey, so what's the problem with my employees?" And Blanchard looked at him and goes, "The problem is you. You're the problem," because he was taking them and telling them everything. Here's what you did wrong. Here's what you did wrong. Here's what you did wrong, and just pounding his employees that didn't want to be around him. So the guy came in. He had his obvious statistics and stuff. He threw it in the trash can, and he goes, "Okay, on a whiteboard, tell me what I'm doing wrong." And over time, the employees began to trust him and told him what he was doing wrong. So managers need to be open to their employees as far as what their shortcomings are. Most people start a business, they either sell it or they build it. Not many people who sell or build become entrepreneurs are necessarily managers. And most people don't have degrees in business, and that doesn't really help anyway on some of this stuff. So
back to what you were saying, tie into Bill, communication, right? And also listening.
Yeah.
What were you talking about? I'm sorry, what did you say?
Listening also.
Yeah.
But having engagement surveys, to understand the climate and look at different ways that you can improve as a leader, right? What your employees like, what they think that they can improve on, and be able to ask those tough questions, and be able to listen. So yes, because the leader pretty much,
They have to have emotional maturity.
right?
Yes,
right.
the leader really needs to have that emotional maturity where they're able to look to see what are they doing. 360, right? 360 surveys or performance reviews where you get a 360, where you ask everybody to give an evaluation of other people so that you can have that viewpoint of what everybody is seeing. Yes, and I mean, how many times is the problem at the top? And I've seen that so many times with different businesses I work with, or it's just like, like this one business I've worked with, an agricultural type of product that they're producing. The dad developed it in the lab at a university. Well, the son decided to start the business with it. And they're never on the same page. And they don't communicate very well with each other. And because of that, that's really has ran into a lot of problems with other people, because the son wants to grow the business and the dad's like, I don't want to do that. And so he will sabotage what the son is doing, and what's going on. So yeah, trying to get on board, and when it's the owner's problem, that's a really difficult situation to be in.
And as a company grows and you start to have more managers underneath you, the communication becomes more critical to have that open communication back and forth. Somebody said to have their blind assessment or blind survey.
Yeah,
I think that's a good idea.
Yeah, because that's the whole purpose of the 360, right?
Right.
Yeah, and that was something, bringing in somebody out from the outside to do that.
Right.
That can be neutral, that can be fair and unbiased, that can present it in a way that hopefully the owner can hear what is being said. But then there's some owners that they're going to go, well, who said that? I want to know who said that. And they want to go and retaliate. And that's not the right attitude
And
to have.
that's a death
Yes.
culture.
Yes.
That'll kill you quicker.
Oh, yeah, definitely. So how has the definition of a high performance team evolved in recent years? And what adjustments should leaders make to adapt?
I think right now we're going through a major shift in culture as far as our society. Before COVID hit, the COVID pandemic hit, we started recognizing if you didn't have an online presence, you're going to be a disadvantage. And COVID really escalated that to the point that people really don't want to work in their office anymore. And so there's a cultural shift as far as I was heard it this way is that back in the day, people worked at IBM for 40 years and then they get laid off. And the next generation comes in and says, well, that didn't work so well for you. So they don't stay with businesses for 40 years. So that the culture is really changing as we speak. And if management cannot adapt to the new culture coming in, they're not going to be able to get good employees. There's a lot of people leaving because they don't want to come into downtown Austin. For one reason, because of traffic. And if you work at home and being successful and be efficient, what's the point? So there's a real change going on that that functional teams, high performance teams, is what are the expectations of the employee? It's not just top down.
What
So-
about generational differences?
So I think, like, for example, the millennials and the younger generations, they gravitate towards jobs these days that they find meaningful to them. They got to have a meaning to what they do, which is a good thing.
It is a good thing.
So when it comes to organizations, they really got to focus on, creating the mission, vision, and values, and making sure that they are communicating that to their employees, and not just focusing too much on, the skill set. There's a lot that it's evolved so much. It's much more complex than it used to be.
Do you think we'll see more businesses have more altruistic type of endeavors, that they have a charity or something of this sort that they are supporting more so to give that meaning to the younger people coming in?
I think so. Yeah, you have to also figure out how you tie into the community, because everybody these days want to be more involved, not just within their organization, but outside of that. And that's a great way, Jana, to have that corporate citizenship in place, and how you fit into your community.
So I would almost suggest that if you have a team and there's a lot of younger generation on there, and if you want to keep them, that maybe you find out what kind of would be meaningful that your
Exactly.
company is pulled and starts looking at how can we contribute back to people,
Right.
and doing things of that sort. So that might be a change we might see in leadership, you think?
I think it's in the process. Companies like Google and Apple, they were kind of the foreleaders in this as far as having a work environment that's meaningful to the employees. And they've been very successful at it. And so I think that's a shift. I think as more baby boomers like myself are moving out of the workforce, that this is going to become more and more prevalent.
But if you think about even IBM back in the day, they used to allow their employees on Fridays to work on any project they wanted to. They could develop a new product or something if they wanted to. And that's how they got a lot of their innovation, was allowing their employees to be part of that R&D process to give them more meaning. So some companies have already had that in there at one point.
Yeah, there's a company that my director and I were talking about that he created. It was an agriculture business, and he created a second shift. They had 3 shifts, and the hours worked out. And so every shift had a hour of a set of time. I don't remember what the time was, to come up with a creative idea for the business. And if it was a good idea, if they came with a good idea, he paid him $100 off that shift. And so he he built into the business for the innovation to happen. And however the employees wanted it to happen, wherever they wanted to go with it. And then he rewarded it the best shift. And he did that over and over and over again. And it was really highly motivational for his crew.
I think to your point, Bill, there's also other platforms that help track all that, because you got to be able to measure impact, the impact of each individual contributions that employees have. For example, Salesforce, they try to do all that reporting. So it ties into individual contributor, and then how it relates to the whole organization, what impact is it making, and so forth. So I think that's definitely something good to incorporate.
Angela, I hope it doesn't wait 4 years.
Yes, hopefully, yes. What's one actionable strategy that business owners and our audience can implement this week to start improving their team's performance?
You're asking the audience?
I'm asking you all, what's one suggestion you could give to our audience that they could do in improving their business?
In regard to leadership. I think, to me, it's listening. It's really listening to what your employees are telling you. And if you're going to have to reprimand or give negative information, do it in private. And in public, always praise. We have a deal here when we start every staffing or every director's meeting that we said we have values in action, where everybody can say something positive about what's going on with other people in our organization. And it starts our meetings off on a positive note and gets us motivated that way. That's one thing I would suggest.
Having that collaborative meeting, setting that and giving everybody a voice.
Yeah, and what I really like is when we allow other people on the team. It's not just coming from the leader saying, "Oh, you did a great job, and this is why you did a great job," but hearing other people give other people on the team compliments. That we have allowed them to also talk about that other person, because I think that's where we've really learned the most about people. Is like when somebody else says, "Hey, like Bill, you did such a great job. I wanted to thank you for helping me the other day. I was really stuck on a problem. I wasn't sure what to do with these financials, and you came in and you helped me." So other people on the team can really learn about what your skill set is, and also so if they have a problem similar to that, they go, "You know who I need to go talk to? I need to talk to Bill about when it comes up to finance." I would not talk with him about technology, but I would definitely talk with him about finance.
Why not? I don't understand. How do you turn the darn thing on?
And one thing I want to add is, don't forget to celebrate even the small wins, because that's contagious.
Yes.
I think that it really helps foster a positive culture within the team when you don't take those things for granted.
Yes, and making sure that it's not necessarily equitable, but so that other people get an opportunity as well. So that we're not always just praising the one person all the time, like the teacher's pet, right? You want to make sure that if other people have successes, we acknowledge that as well.
I think it's important to acknowledge and celebrate the diversity of the team. I really feel very strongly about that, the equity, the equality, inclusion, and diversity, because everybody is somewhat different and everybody has strengths to bring to it. And I think it's real important.
Well, it's proven. I mean, statistics show that if you have a diverse team, you have people with different backgrounds coming together, that business is able to navigate the changes in the outside environment much better. They're much more productive. They're much more innovative. So it's proven that diversity is so important in a business. Don't hire people just because they look like you, but look for people that are different, but also are quality employees, because they're going to bring a different perspective that you may not have thought of before.
Exactly right. Yeah.
And I think that's what's really important because the statistics show that if you do have a diverse team, that they are going to be much better.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh my God.
More ideas will flow for innovation.
Yes. Okay, so Maria had a great point. Where's Maria's point? It was 10%er. Let's see, they focus on the 10% that went wrong and versus the 90% of get it right. Yes,
Right.
and that is so true.
That's exactly right.
These are, you guys are making such great
This
comments.
is
We've got to make sure we share
reframing.
these. Yeah, action speaks louder than words. I love people show me, not tell me.
Yeah,
And I think that's important
it's
because
extremely important.
especially when you're talking about your strategy and your mission of your organization, you say, you know, kindness is important. And then you walk around and say, hey, Bill, you really messed up yesterday. And be like, oh, well, that's not very kind.
Well, also, different people learn different ways. Some people learn by seeing, some people learn by reading, some people learn by actually getting on and doing. And so it's important to know what your employees, how they best get information.
Right. And I think you do that by listening, right? Because
Yeah.
they will say, you know, I really hear what you're saying. Well, that means they're very audible. I see what you're saying. That means they're very visual, right? So you got to listen to that employee and how they describe things.
So Scott says altruism sounds great, but I'm in it for the dollars. There's a difference. I was with two twin sisters. They have a business, and one's in sales, and she comes out of relationship building, and the other one comes out of transactional. And one is all transactional, and one is all relationship. Relationship is really watching them come together on how they do sales for the same business. And one is transaction, one's relationship. I have a pet peeve. It's a pet peeve or a belief that the relationship is a better way to go than just to go with transactional.
For sales, definitely. But you know, like so Scott, you were saying that, but you're in it for the dollars. Well, if you are in for the dollars, then these are the things that you want to do. If you're trying to motivate your employees and have them be more productive, that's going to give you more dollars. So if you do have that altruistic value for your younger employees, they're going to work harder for you and you're going to have more dollars. If you have a diverse workforce, you will end up with more dollars. So the dollars are there, but you have to make sure you look at how you're going to generate that, because you can get people to work harder for you and do more for you if you're an inspirational leader for them.
Right.
And I think that's the big thing, that it does come back down to the dollars. You will make more money when you have a stronger team, a high performance team. And these are ways of getting it. So yes, good for you. Yes, if you want to get more money, then you need to think about some of these things in terms of your business.
Yeah, perhaps it can make you more money, because the money P&L statement only tells you the after the fact.
Right.
When you have attrition in your people, and you know, if you take better care of your people and they're happy where they're at and they get a sense of belonging and the kindness and respect is there, they're going to be even more inclined to perform better, you know, and your numbers are going to boost.
Mhm.
So yeah, I think that's definitely going to be helpful.
Some really good feedback. Kevin P. is a point. Where'd it go? It jumps around. Talks about, there's an article on Yahoo Finance article about your altruist. I can't say it.
Altruistic company.
Thank you. The Holy Grail. Coach, I'd say your SOP and one-on-one meeting with them, as you notice issues, will let you know that if you keep having to come up with improvement plans, they may not be the best person, and that they may not be a good fit for that position.
Well, yeah. And for me, I have a placement I follow for my business. How am I spending my time? And that has made such a difference, because if I have the right things or tasks that I need to be doing each week on my placement, then I can see a difference in my business in terms of the number of clients that I have that I'm working with. When I had the wrong things on there, I didn't have that many clients because I was not focusing on the right things or activities that I was doing. So having, knowing your key performance indicators, really identifying those. What is it that helps you do better at your job? Identifying that is not easy. It's a difficult job. And another thing I want to put out here that I think is real important, don't be afraid to go to a consultant. Don't be afraid to go to someone like Bill at the SBDC or go to Michelle for marketing assistance. Don't be afraid to going outside your business and asking for help. Having a mentor, I think, is very important. And not just one mentor, but have several mentors that can help you look at your business objectively. Because if you're so busy in your business working it, you don't have that ability to step out of it and look at it that way. So make sure that you do look at that. That is always a good place. I know SCORE also provides no cost services as well. So, and then also go and ask people to be your mentor. I had a student that worked for me when I was the director of the Service Learning Excellence Program, and he was in the health profession program. Joseph, he's probably not listening because he's busy working, but he was in health professions, and he went and met with a director of a hospital because that was the job he eventually wanted to get. And he went and he said, do you mind if I meet with you and learn from you? He didn't know them in person, but he reached out to him, met him. Then when he met with him, he says, hey, would you mind being my mentor to help me along with my career? And the guy said, yes. And so Joseph has grown so much. He has gone from so many different positions that he is on a path to be a director of a hospital because of that. So mentorship is very important. So please don't hesitate. I got to check on the
Asking for help.
Yes, asking for
Yeah.
help. Okay, so we're about running out of time. So I'm going to have one last question for you. How do you balance maintaining a high performance with preventing team burnout? How to keep a high performance team from burnout?
I think that comes down to along the way, knowing how to celebrate the small wins and the big wins, but also making sure that people don't work overtime as much as possible, and keeping them engaged, but that balance, that work-life balance is really important, right? Like not overworking, and having a clear path to success that's attainable, so that people don't feel like they're chasing something and they don't know if they're meeting it or not, and there's a lot of ambiguity. So having clear direction, clear structure, I think, and communication.
I think having tools to help you keep the KPIs in front of you in balance. You talked about the placemat, and we got that from 360 Management 360, and that's been really important for me to have my weekly structure of where I want to spend my time, so that I'm not working 10 o'clock at night, and to make sure that I'm moving towards the KPIs that are important to me and also to my director and to our agency. I do want to throw a quick shout out to SCORE. We collaborate with SCORE in Austin a lot. We have 4 advisors. SCORE has over 60 advisors, different areas of expertise. And so I meet with those guys, and we'll work together with clients where they may do a project, I may do a project. We've been doing that for 10 years. We're working with SCORE. And so it's a good resource for budding entrepreneurs and even people that are more established.
And I think another thing, and I think both of you alluded to this, is scheduling. Schedule time in there to take time that is in your day. Make sure you schedule time to exercise, take care of your health. Make sure you take time in your schedule for your team to sit and be able to take a time to sit back and look and reflect. And I think that's really important, that you make sure you schedule those things into your schedule so that your schedule doesn't rule you, you rule the schedule.
Right.
All right, so first of all, I want to thank everybody for being here today, because we're getting close to the end of our time right now. Oh my gosh, this is great. All these wonderful things in the chat. But we are going to be meeting again March 15th. And then we're going to be strategic planning, charting your business future. And hopefully our panelists will be, if they're not sick, we're going to have John Spencer. He's with Sales
cool.
Acceleration. Yeah, he does fractional sales executive. Andy O'Brien, who's an action coach, is going to be here as well, along with Bill and myself. You're going to be here.
I'll be here.
And that will be during South by Southwest, I think.
Okay.
And March 9th, I'm going to be at South by Southwest. I'm going to be moderating a panel on artificial intelligence. So if you're going to South by Southwest, come on March 9th. I think it's the session's at 11:30 at the Hilton in Salon C. I think that's the time. But I'd love to see you there. So if anybody's going to South by Southwest, I hope to see you there. Texas State is going to be having a session as well at the Q, which is downtown Austin. So hopefully you can join us if you'd like. It's also on Sunday. And they'll be highlighting a lot of their university innovations. So a lot of the university faculty members are working on IP, and they're going to be demonstrating some of that at that time. But thank you, everybody.
Thank you for
being
coming.
here
Thank you.
today. Thank you so much for your attention and for your comments. And we will be sharing that with everybody. So thank you so much.